everyone, welcome back to another episode of Galaxy Gardens. My name is Chrissy, and today you're going to join me on a very, very rainy garden tour on this October day in 2021. I'll show you what's going on behind me, as well as give you an update on the girls. Goodness, girls. I gotta get you some treats. Knock the water out of the tarp. Okay, I couldn't carry the umbrella and my little stick. I have my phone on at the same time. Let me show you one of the worst flaws about our chicken run. Okay, so you see that hanging down? Full of water. See the shadow a little bit there. Watch out, girls. Oh, that's awful. That is a feature we need to fix. I am well aware we need to move their food, trust me. This rain this week has really been just it's gonna rain all week. This is gonna be a constant issue. One of my goals this week is to take actually these tarps down, and we're gonna bring them in just as an extra layer of insulation for the girls. Oh my goodness, dear, you're soaked. So we did, I flipped the bars. Now they have a couple inches to sit on. This just changed over the weekend, but it's very dry in there right now. So the girls do have a dry place to go. I need like running around in all weather, but they do have somewhere dry to sit. Right there. Also too cold, I kind of came out here to get eggs. I didn't get any yet today. Arthur won't lay one for a little bit, but 4 so far. I'm gonna say goodbye to the ladies just for now. I'm gonna bring them some treats later on because they definitely earn it when it rains. They hate the rain. I hope they like the snow a bit better, but the rain, Well, maybe I'm determined by now. I am out here in all weather. So, let's get an update on my Shenandoah Patamac pawpaw. So I was expecting it to leaf out more, but I think the weather caught up to us. I did plant a smaller tree than that last year with my donut peach. So I'm sure this will do fine over the winter, especially with the mulch. And my Shenandoah pawpaw is obviously doing quite well, except for where the girls. There you go. Very happy. Over here are the Snowbank Blackberries, which are doing well. My Kiowas, 2 of them are still doing well. This one just didn't get a jump on things. Next year I might take one of those branches or vines, whatever you call them, and just put it here to fill in this hedge area. I am excited. We're going to get a whole bunch of berries next year. Now, the garden. Most of these beds are empty. Obviously, there's some okra that needs to come out. There's some sugar snap peas that are hanging on with some cilantro and red vein sorrel. These flowers I'm going to leave until frost, for insects. These herbs, I'm going to collect the rest of them this week. We're going to dry them and mulch them over and see if they come back next year. Same with the toothache plant. I'm going to collect the parsley in the back left there. Still some caraway flowering. That's how that goes. Just some more okra. It needs to come out. Obviously my 3 potato beds. I've been adding amendments to them in compost. Let's see. Here I have, you can't see them really, but there's a squash coming in addition to some other ones. This bed is done. If you saw my IGTV from yesterday, you saw what happened to the Carolina Reapers. I'm going to, this fennel hasn't really changed size in the last 2 weeks, so I think I'm going to pick it and make it for dinner. All of this damage to my kohlrabi is actually from the chickens, because I just let them have it. I don't really care. Some carrots in the back there. Now down here, also remaining flowers that will come out soon. Nasturtiums, empty eggplant bed, empty tomato beds with, yard scraps among. Another beautiful nasturtium, which is just loving this cute other flowers. And then I've pretty much pulled the rest of the root veggies from this front area. This bed honestly did the worst out of everything this year until I put green beans in. But since a lot of seed sellers haven't restocked for the year yet and are also sold out, all of these green jade beans, or jade bush beans, leaving, so I can collect the seed. There's probably enough in there for like a dinner or two, but I'd rather collect the seeds, so I'm just setting them for now. Over here we have some lavender. Also, if you saw my IGTV yesterday, saw me cut up some of them. I'm actually going to mulch this over, see what happens. I have my blackberries doing good. One of my pink lemonade blueberries, which just did not pick out this year. And the other pink lemonade blueberries are alright. I'm going to show you how the fruit trees are doing, and then I'm going to go sit somewhere dry because carrying two things in recording is not the easiest. Shout out to everyone who does that, because good job. So we're back by the girls, and I actually pulled out a lot of radishes yesterday, and there's some green still in there. Here we have some sugar snap peas and Oregon giant snow peas, which actually do come in quite large even though plants are small. Nothing else, there's some lettuce there. I have other lettuce coming in, so it's fine. Really need to clean up this area with all the dead vines or dying vines, in addition to the corn that's done. One plant that's doing quite well is my Chicago Hardy. As you can see, the leaves haven't been touched by the cold so much. A little bit here. I'm gonna wait for the leaves to fall before I wrap them. So, got another week or two before that. Over here you can see some beautiful turkey tails. I got to watch the mycelium grow over the stump and then turn into turkey tails. They're beautiful. So beautiful. Over here I have my Texas everberry. Just looking okay. My grape has pretty much had it. This is a seedless pink reliance. If you have any recommendations about grapes, I'll take it. A couple lilies. And my persimmon here. Let's see if I can get that back in focus. There you go. Persimmon, it's a free persimmon. I'm absolutely loving it out here. I don't know if I need to wrap it, but I'm going to do some research. Now, I got to show you this other spot. Look at the girls. Now, our trees, you can see up there. There you go. Okay, see how many leaves have fallen? You see the leaves all over the ground here? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So the deciduous trees have tapped out, but our freaking bananas, they're still going. These are dwarf Cavendish. Never once got a banana out of them. So I was like, you know what? Put too many years of work into you. I've repotted you so many times, given you fertilizer. And they're just thriving out here. I mean, they look gorgeous. They look so good. Barely touched by the cold. This is one of our most wind resistant areas of the yard. That's why we put the chicken run over here. But just look at that, it's gorgeous. I'm interested to see how long they last. The nursery we got these from, they had giant bananas, and the individual who's tending to them recommended to just do a very deep mulch, because as long as the roots don't die and they're mulched over, they'll come back even in New England. And this nursery is in New England and they get snow. However, with this type of banana, they do need 15 to 18 months to flower and fruit without dying back, which I think is a lie, because I've had these for multiple years and they still just haven't done anything. So maybe they'll come back next year and just be decorative bananas. We'll find out. Alright, let's leave the bananas behind. I'll show you how our other fruit trees are doing and give you a little update on the strawberries and the hardy kiwi. So the hardy kiwi is just doing wonderfully. If I can find a picture from when they started the season, I mean, they were smaller than I expected. So they're going to do wonderfully over the winter. This is the female. Over here is the male, and like my other fruiting bushes and trees, they responded very, very well to being mulched. Now coming over here in our laughably small rain barrel for the size of roof we have. Show you strawberries. So you can see here the strawberries are looking quite green still. As far as I can tell, after removing the runners over on these late bananas, they don't put out any more. So hopefully it'll come down now the weather's a bit cooler. This one you can see is still putting out, fruit, flowers, etc. So I'm going to wait for the tops to bud up a little bit more before I mulch them over for winter. And it's kind of funny because I'm going to be putting out garlic this week. This is usually the week I do it every year. And they require the same amount of mulch, about 5 inches. So I'm just going to get some straw. Just do a thick layer of straw for everybody. And these fruit trees are looking quite good. The only one that's noticeably adjusting to fall is this Bartlett pear. My apple over there isn't like super happy. Donut peach is doing alright. This peach is also doing quite well. Let's get that in focus. There you go. Look how pretty it looks. With that sea of leaves beyond it. I love this yard. It's a meadow back there. Just beautiful. Okay, now I'm going somewhere dry because my feet are wet. And I'm gonna go sit down and we're gonna talk some more. Come on. I found the manual for this. I forgot what it was called. It's called a Scoot and Do Caddy. I love this thing. It's very comfortable. But I'm gonna bring it over to my greenhouse next week. All right, here we are inside. I'm next to the greenhouse, which you should be very familiar with if you saw last week's video. I wanted to come just sit and not fight the rain while I'm talking to you. So as you can see outside, everything is really wrapping up. The only places I didn't update you about, just because it's near my neighbor's house and I like to respect their privacy, is I have a fig tree in the ground. I have a rockin' double red raspberry and a fall gold raspberry. The fig, just like the Chicago hardy and the Texas everbearing outside, I am going to be letting the leaves fall on that. And then we will be doing our pruning and wrapping, all that good stuff. Now I could prune it in late winter, but since they're gonna be wrapped up, I prefer just to prune them ahead of time. I don't want to prune them this week just because there's so much rain. It's not gonna The raspberries, the Rock and Double, are still producing, so I'm gonna let that go until it stops, and then obviously cut them back. I can show you that if you're interested. Just let me know in the comments. The Fall Gold, actually, it did put out some vines. However, we didn't get any at all. And I don't know if that's because I planted them this year. I just picked them up from a big box store back in like April or May and put them in the ground, versus the Rock and Double I actually put it in the ground last year. So I don't know if that was something to do with it. You know, like with blackberries, where you know you have the vines grow one year and you get the berries on it next year. Raspberries don't necessarily work in that way. Although I have been reading if you cut them at different times a year, you can try to influence them to give you berries at different times. So that's something I'm doing more research on, just as you know we're closing up everything. Another thing to come is that we're going to be pruning the other fruit trees in the back. The pears, the apples, and the peaches. Each of them get pruned differently. In addition to like when you're harvesting or when the flowers come in and when the fruit starts to set. You know, there's very specific things you do with each. So that's a couple things going on outside. Another thing that I'm not gonna show you, just you know, out of respecting my neighbors, we have some just regular like blueberry bushes out front. In addition to a couple, they're not raised beds. They are. We do have them marked, but that's where my corn was. That's where I tried to grow some triticale and some rice. We did get some of that grain, no rice though. So next year I think we're just gonna do all corn. And then in the front, I just have some hostas going. Next year we're considering putting some raised beds out there and maybe just doing a whole bunch of strawberries. We haven't decided yet. I mean, we could put a grape arbor there. We have the room. But you know, anything to get rid of our grass because we don't want that. Definitely anti-grass. We've been considering not, I really want to mow this week just to collect all of the shredded leaves and shredded grass and put that in the raised beds. I'm even considering for like the whole part of our yard that kind of backs up to our meadow, just leaving that with like all the leaves on the ground because you know grass doesn't really come up over there anyways, it's mostly moss. So we'll see how that goes, but for now let me show you what's going on in here, give you an update on how everything's coming in with this little indoor greenhouse. As you can see, it's still by my garage door. We are waiting on a couple things to change in our garage. I'm hoping by the end of the week I'm gonna have this in its proper like full winter home, which is easy. You just take these containers out and then this whole thing weighs like not even 5 pounds. So I'm gonna switch the camera around. I'm gonna show you in here and hopefully you'll get an idea of what to expect when you're doing your own greenhouse. So as you can see, although all of these containers are not labeled, most of them are starting to pop up, and it's been less than a week. I love these lights. So last week I talked about how I was doing a 15-hour cycle. I actually looked at my notes and that was incorrect. I actually did a 12-hour cycle in the spring. So look how cute. Oh, look how cute they are. So now that everything popped up, I actually just switched it to the 13-hour cycle, just to give it a little extra oomph since I'm growing in here, not just getting starts going. So in here is all lettuce, if I'm correct. This is the lettuce area, yep. And that's spinach. So there should be a couple rogue ones over there. Down here, you can see a lot of different ones. Get that focus coming in. So I did 1, 2, And on the end here, 3 types of Swiss chard. And then I also had beets and carrots. So, given that this is coming up here, I'm gonna guess this side is the beets. I planted Chioga and golden beets. And here I planted I believe a red dragon carrot and a generic orange carrot. And these containers are about, I don't know, 12 inches. I filled it up about 10 inches of soil. And that's gonna be plenty for these carrots. They're very small varieties, they don't get very long. And I chose them specifically because we're doing container gardening. So yes, less than a week later. Now I have come in here, you can see, in addition I put into the soil is just some fertilizer. If you watched the video last week, you understand that the soil I use is not the most nutritious and is really just supposed to be an amendment versus full growing medium. But all of these items are in that soil and I've all gotten some fertilizer. And I probably misted these like twice the entire time they've been in here. I think every few days at the tops of the soil look dry, especially for the carrots, because carrots can take up to 21 days to germinate. If I had any extra pieces of wood, I'd have actually put it over the carrots here. That's one way you can keep them damp while they have time to germinate. And it won't hurt them at all if they do germinate underneath there, because when you take it off and they get exposed to light, they'll do just fine. So these look absolutely beautiful. Yes, I did not bring herbs in. I thought this was a safer place than with the cats. So far, it doesn't look like anything's in transplant shock, and even, you know, as I showed you, the sage is looking quite well. So this is what my indoor garden's gonna look like, and yeah, depending on how things do, I honestly might like get a second one of these because I've been just so happy with it. I'm gonna go shut this off and then I will bring you to the fruit tree tent. I'll show you how that's doing. Another cool thing about this greenhouse is that it has, you're supposed to roll it up and tie it, but I don't have time for that, so I just put it over the top. But it's just very easy to close back up. And if you're not gentle with it, like me, who instead of just gently getting it unstuck, will just pull and rip it. I mean, I'm just gonna duct tape that, it's gonna be fine. It's not getting any external light, it's all from the grow light, so it's not that big a deal. Same thing I did to show you my little indoor winter garden. I'm going to also get my little hydro kit going inside the house, but I need to reassemble that. So I just turned this light on. This one I believe I also have at 12 hours. And I love this light so much. So I just turned it on to show you. It's not due to come on. I think this one I have turning on at like 7 to 7. So here everything is still looking good. I love this tent because stuff actually dries out a bit faster. So since I put them in here, I haven't watered them since. And I've just been keeping an eye on them. I'm going to still spray for spider mites, but everyone's doing okay. It's not the worst thing in the world for them to get dry sometimes, as long as it's not prolonged, like you saw when I was repotting the last of them. Those two are doing quite well. So this week I'm definitely going to give them some more water, especially this one, this Eureka Lemon. It's not ripe yet, but it's looking quite good. So everyone in here is, everyone here is still doing good. They're going to get some water this week. I don't really like to give them fertilizer at this point in the year. So we're you know, in the last week of October right now. Oh my goodness. That is gorgeous. Are you ready yet? Oh, it's so close. So close. Hold on, let's get that in focus. There you go. Olympian figs. Massive. I wanted to try these forever. Yeah, so I'm definitely giving you guys some water this week. But I really don't like to give them fertilizer at this point. I was actually averse to using fertilizer for so many years because I gave everyone nutrient burn. And I've gotten over it. I found other fertilizers that worked, and last year was actually the first year I started using fertilizers again. And I was very happy with the results. But I don't like to give it to them at this time of year because it's just going to foster more leaf growth. And that's not what I want because of reasons we discussed in previous videos. So I'm going to let them live their life. I'm going to go ahead and give them some water. And then when it gets to be around like February, when it gets to be around March, sometimes the figs will break dormancy, just because, you know, they've been put into dormancy now. Sometimes they'll try to break out of it around January. But usually around like February, March, that's when I want to start giving them fertilizer again and just get them ready to go for when we start putting them outside. Wait for nights to be in the 60s at least. Ah, this poor Jabo. That was completely my fault. I have all these Jabos, these poor things. Oh, the small one is doing okay. These larger ones are gonna need a bit more love. But here's a good test. I'm gonna see if your plant is still alive. Let's do a gentle scrape. And if it's green, let's see if we can. Hold on. There we go. Now if it's green, it's still alive. Listen, nobody is a perfect fruit tree grower, okay? If they tell you that, they're, excuse my language, but they're lying. See all those leaves coming down? Everyone has almost killed a fruit tree at some point. Now this one I'm gonna get a knife for, just because I don't think my fingernails are strong enough. But everyone's killed a fruit tree or has almost killed a fruit tree before. And if they tell you they've never done that, they are a liar. Okay. Alright, hold on, let me check this job off. Okay, so as you can see, right there, that's alive. As you can see, right there, that one is also alive. They're just losing some of their foliage. They do still have little buds that are coming in to put out new ones. But I don't like to always remove all the dead leaves because it is sending nutrients back to the plant. But I expect them to put out another flush of leaves, especially once I give them some more water. Everything in here is looking very good. And it's kind of funny because a lot of the trees that I grow are tropical trees, which typically means they are from the southern hemisphere originally. Don't ask me where the nurseries get their stock. As up for debate how ethical that type of business is. I genuinely don't know. However, so back to my point, I'm going to go on a tangent. Because I have a lot of tropical trees, they typically like to flower in here around December, January. And then they're in here. I have a better light this year than I have in past years. But you know, sometimes you can get fruit over the winter that way, compared to other ones, you know, like my Olympian fig, which is fruiting right now. But like my Loquat back here, that's a Christmas Loquat. So I expect it to flower and start putting out fruit, you know, by the spring. I got that this spring, and when I went to the nursery to get it, this one I chose specifically because it didn't have fruit on it and wasn't stressed. But I know it is a fruiting age because all the other ones that were like the same size around it had loquats on them at the nursery. So, but they were definitely stressed out. But like my Australian fingerlime down here, it's definitely going to flower towards the spring. The little updates in here. We'll bring you back out. With all that said and done, I'm gonna bring you actually inside with me. I'm inside my garage. I'm gonna go in my house because I wanna get these eggs out of my pocket. And we're gonna put some in a water glass. All right, I'm back inside, just adding my eggs to my lute. Go out later, I'm sure Bertha, she tends to lay in later in the day compared to the other girls. Love this, I love this little bowl. What I'm gonna do later, that'll be enough for like a jar. I have 2 quart jars. I put a quart of water in, an ounce of pickling lime, or hydrating lime, as it's also known. Shake it up until it's dissolved, and then I add the eggs to it, and I'm gonna put them with my collection down in the basement. So that's what's gonna happen with these, and then we'll have 10 jars of water glassed eggs for the winter. I'm very excited. So we definitely have some more chores to do before winter, shows up. So that's going to include planting the garlic this week. We're supposed to have a nice clear day on Thursday, so I think that's going to be my chance to put them in. So we're going to put them in, mulch them over. I'll show that process to you too. We're going to need to prune the fruit trees. We're going to need to wrap the fig trees for winter, and we'll need to mulch over the strawberries. In addition to that, I need to fill up my raised beds. I need to, add any amendments I didn't have this year. I really need to get my soil tested, but it's not entirely soiled just yet. It's still just a mix of everything in there. So that's my goals for now, in addition to putting the rest of our mulch into the actual garden in preparation for the spring. So things are very busy for us. Oh yeah, and everything with the chicken run. Thank you for joining me on this very rainy and dreary day. We'll see you next week with a new video. And in the meanwhile, please like and subscribe. Bye.